Right, hopefully this is working again. It all looks normal-ish from my end. Sorry about that, everyone. Whew, man, we need that broadband upgrade. I'm telling you. Everyone is going to get so sick of me saying that, but this is a perfect example why. I can quickly recover. We can restart it over, but what if a child is trying to do distance learning and they're in the middle of a test and that stuff goes out? That's really something that cannot happen. We need it to need that investment from the state level. All right, getting our viewers back up. So sorry about that. All right, so we were on the capital update. So we still don't have a bonding bill. Needs to happen. We need to put people back to work, right? Unemployment is at an all-time high right now, and with the lack of funding coming from the federal government as up to the levels as we had been used to, the state's going to have to step up and do that. Or fill in those gaps somehow. One really great way would be the bonding bill. So if we were able to pass this bonding bill and shovel ready projects, give funding to those projects, we're getting good jobs, local jobs, we're putting people back to work. There's literally no downside to a bonding bill. I guess one could argue that you wouldn't want to spend the money, but we're going to. It's like if you have a car and it's not, it needs this repair, it needs this repair. You might not want to do it right now, and there's something that's really pressing, you might want to do that. It's like if you ignored all that. Eventually, it's going to cost money to fix. Eventually, you're going to have to do these things, make roads safer, expand our water treatment facilities, things like that. You're going to have to do it eventually, and why not do it right now when it's needed and when we can put people back to work? It's no brainer to me, but I'm not elected yet. So hopefully on this special session, we will be, seeing a bonding bill actually go through. Of course, there's going to be a big debate on ending the peacetime emergency and ending, the governor's powers under that peacetime emergency. We expect it to go the same as it's been, which is a lot of arguing and a lot of fluff and a lot of election speeches on that House and Senate floor, and nothing's going to change. So it'll be a thing that happens, in my opinion, and what we're thinking, what we're expecting, but it's not going to change. So I've talked about this on previous town halls, so I won't spend too much time today talking about it, but if we end the peacetime emergency right now, we would be the second state in the entire nation to do that. There's only one other one that is not currently under a peacetime emergency. We're still in the height of a pandemic. We're still seeing a huge increase in cases and hospitalizations, and it's spreading now even further out into greater Minnesota. Ending that doesn't make any sense. And then we're losing things like, the ability to source and purchase PPE very quickly, the ability to distribute any kind of federal funds that might be coming our way very quickly. We need to have the governor have those powers in order to move quickly. And like I said, I will reiterate this time and time again, the governor and his staff are not ones to just be this dictator that you're kind of hearing the messaging around. They want the legislature to work on things. They want agreement. They want, public input, and they want legislative input. So that's something that we're constantly in contact with as far as that goes. So when the governor is using these emergency powers, he's not doing so lightly. I can tell you that. I can promise you that. So that will be an argument in the special session. They will have to vote to end the peacetime emergency or not. The other thing I really would love to see movement on, just because I worked on the environment committee, the environment policy committee, not just because, but a big reason, is the Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund. There's a dedicated fund from, I believe it's from lottery proceedings that was voted on, I think 5 years ago, by our state, by us, by all of the voters. And that constitutionally dedicated fund is supposed to go towards preserving things like parks, lakes, rivers, clean air, clean water, that kind of thing, because we cherish that so much here in Minnesota. So there's some funds sitting there that have not been distributed appropriately or at all. And there's a bunch of other environmental stuff that's wrapped up into this bill as well. I have some opinions on how that looks, but the fact is that exists, and we need to get that money being put to good use rather than just sitting and not doing anything. Because it's a constitutionally dedicated fund, we can't take it and use it for, whatever. it has to be towards those environmental type of projects and preservation. So I would like to see some movement on that. I think we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about transit and transit safety. That is still up in the air. Unemployment, I'm sure we're going to have conversations on. And then what I would really like to see is more investment from the state in things like school funding or broadband, because we're going to have, the same issues that we had before with distance learning are going to still exist. And now teachers are having to plan for a year of that. And these disparities that tend to exist in technology and in learning still exist. So I would like to see the state fund that a little bit. I'm not sure that will happen. I'm not sure a whole lot will happen. I always try to have like a positive outlook on things and, see rose-colored glasses, right? See the good in everything. But based on the last couple of special sessions and the nonsense that I have witnessed, I don't have a lot of high hopes for much of anything coming from this. I haven't heard of any arbitrary adjournment dates, so that's hopeful. So I guess we'll see. This time next week, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. Okay, quick campaign update. We are in the midst of getting people to turn out and vote for the primary election. So there's a lot of focus on the Republican primary here in our district. There is a Democratic primary challenge as well. I am the endorsed candidate. I do have a challenger who has been putting a lot of money behind advertisements and things like that. So don't forget about me, about this Democratic primary. Make sure your voice is heard in whichever one you do choose, but make sure that you can get your vote in. So we are doing a lot of phone calls right now, which we'll be doing until November 3rd as well. They're really fun, you guys. There's, you get a few kind of people that don't want to talk to you, but with so many people being home, you get a lot more contact rate than we have had in previous campaign years. People that are bored, we want to talk to you. And it's really, really fun to hear why people moved here, why people like to live here, what kind of things they're looking for in a candidate, or what kind of things they want to see the state do, or, kind of having those discussions about state and federal government and local and state government. I'm a nerd. I love it. But we have a great volunteer team too that has just been amazing. Thank you to all of you who are watching. I can't do this without you, and you guys are the lifeblood of this. So if you want to join that team, please do. We're real fun. Get in touch with us. You can get in touch with us on the website. We've got opportunities for people to write things if they don't want to be on the phones, or we prefer you be on the phones, but we'll have other opportunities as well. To touch on door knocking for a minute, just because we've been asked a couple times, I do know that other campaigns are door knocking. I do not feel that that's appropriate or safe. We don't know who's behind the door. We don't know who, what their health is or what their circumstances might be. So I personally don't feel like it's appropriate to be door knocking right now. It's severely unsafe, and I think it's pretty reckless to be doing that right now. So we are not door knocking at the moment. Pandemic gets better, we get a vaccine, we'll reevaluate that. But for now, we will not be on the doors. All right, a couple questions in here. Is it too late to request a mail-in ballot, or is it best for me to show up and vote in person? Great question. Now, being that it's Sunday, I think it is too late to request a mail-in ballot for the primary. You can still request one for the general, which I would recommend. You can vote in the general as soon as September 18th, I believe. So yeah, it's gonna, if you've already requested it and you have your mail-in ballot with you, you can physically go drop it off at the government center in Chaska, or if you're a Waconia resident, you can drop it off at the city hall in Waconia, either Monday or Tuesday. You can still do that either day, but it is too late to get one and give it back in, especially with the slowing of the postal service, which I'm shocked that is happening, and I did confirm that is a thing that is really happening. So keep that in mind for the general election as well. You'll need to get that ballot in ASAP for sure. One thing I will say also, I just want to remind everyone about mail-in balloting. You have to, when you request your ballot, they make you either put your driver's license or the last 4 digits of your social security card or social security number down. You have to use that same number, either one. Just make sure it's the same one when you fill out your ballot and return it. Also, don't forget to sign it. Some ballots have been rejected. Our Carver County elections is so good here. We have like 0 fraud. We have 0 issues. Ballots are hardly ever, results are hardly ever late. We're right on time. I mean, you guys have seen the returns on election night. Carver County is very fast. And with that, they are very strict on their ballot acceptance or rejection. So make sure that you are signing it and that you are matching up the same number and giving them all the proper information that they need. They do a really, really great job. So anyone watching from that office, thank you. You guys are awesome. So in-person voting, you can vote early in person on Monday between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. So that's either at Waconia or Chaska. I've only seen the Chaska Government Center one, and they have, clear 6 feet apart places you can stand, and everyone's wearing masks in there. It's super, super safe, as safe as you can get right now. So you can do that tomorrow anytime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Let's see. And then Tuesday, of course, polls will open at 7. So how do you vote early? Yeah, it's super easy. You can just go in, even if you're not registered. You can register the same day. So you just go in to, I think, Isaac, if you're not a Waconia resident, I think you're Chaska, if I remember correctly. Go to the Chaska Government Center, and they'll let you in. Last I heard, they didn't have anyone at the door, letting people in one at a time, just because there was no one else really in there. But just go there, and they'll walk you through the whole thing. It's right in. Go right to the left, and it's the same office as the property tax office too. And they'll just help you out. Okay, Eric, I know we are supposed to find out about the school's learning model on Tuesday. Do you think it's safe to send kids to school right now? Would you send your kids? Sorry, I don't know if you have. I do not have any kids. I have family members with kids and family members that are teachers. That's a really, really tough call. I'm very happy that it's being left up to, local units, our school districts, and parents and teachers that are in those school districts. Our school districts are awesome. I will say they are. Everyone that I'm still setting up meetings and stuff for this week. But everyone that I've spoken with or have done research on has had a distance learning model option. You do have to choose that for the whole year, from what I'm understanding. You can't switch halfway through. So I think I'm very, very concerned about the safety of our teachers and our non-teaching staff. That being said, I know we know that children learn best, especially the younger kids, learn best in the classroom. And I know that it's going to be really difficult to have those kids in masks and 6 feet apart and social distance and all that. Certainly, if we were to fully fund public education and we were to have, huge classrooms or, smaller class sizes, which would be ideal, it would be a little easier to make that happen. To that social distancing, have it be a little bit safer. We don't have that right now. So it's really tough. I live with someone who is very immunocompromised. She's actually the reason I got into politics in the first place. So I have been really paranoid. And, again, I'm 32 and I'm probably going to be okay if I get it. So I could be a little more lax. But I can't take that risk for my mom. So if I were to have kids with me in this house, I would not send them just because of my mom. Circumstances are certainly different for every person. And I think, it's a really tough decision. And there is no handbook on this thing, right? There's no, standard way to do this. We've never done this before. So my heart goes out to every teacher and non-teaching staff and parent that is having to make this decision right now. And, the school boards and the superintendents and everyone that's having to weigh into this. This is tough. This is really tough stuff. And I wish there was more funding to assist with cleaning and smaller class sizes and things like that. On distance learning, bolstering distance learning. But we're going to have to make do with what we've got. And we know, Carver County has been really good at that. So it's a tricky question. And I'm just, my heart goes out to you guys, parents having to make that decision. How quickly do we find out who the winners are in the primary after the 11th? We will know until on Friday. So the results are expected to be in by Thursday night. And then they're going to certify the results on Friday is what I've been told. So we will know Friday. So we'll know this same time next week. Yeah, it'll be an exciting day for sure. All right. Where were we? Capital update. No, campaign update. We are about to put out lawn signs very quickly, so if you've not requested yours, please go to the website and make sure you've got your request in, and tell your friends and neighbors too. We've got plenty, so we'll get them out. If you want one, we'll get them out. We have placed a t-shirt order. We placed a couple extras just in case someone wanted to order. So if you want an Addie for MN t-shirt, they look, oh, there it is. They look like that on a t-shirt. Then please go ahead and do that on the website as well. And if we get a lot of orders, we'll place another order. No big deal. They do cost money, so a donation would be awesome in addition. All right. I will make another volunteer plug real quick. This campaign is going to be up against a lot of money, right? We know traditionally that Democratic candidates have not raised as much money out here. So we know we're going to be up against a lot of money. Money equals reach. So I can sit here all day long and talk all day long, but if people don't know that this is happening, they're not going to come watch, and they're not going to come ask questions. They're not going to learn about this campaign. So, donations help us reach more people. Donations help us get mailers and, paid canvassers, whatever it might be, digital ads. That's one big piece of it. The other big piece of it is volunteering. So if you really care, not even about me, it's not about me. It's about the vision. It's about the things that we're trying to do here in Carver County. We're changing the narrative, right? We're talking about things that haven't been talked about before, and we're, bringing everyone to the table and making sure that there's space for everyone. If you believe in that and you want that to continue, volunteering is the best way to get that done, right? I can't make all these changes that I really want to make or fight for the things that I really want to fight for if I'm not in office. And the way to get us there is to volunteer. So making sure that we have those conversations with as many folks as possible. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. So if you have even an hour a week, we'll take it. We'll put you to work. We'll make sure we've got something to do. Nancy in the comments here is our volunteer coordinator, who is amazing. She's my secret weapon. She will make sure that you are confident in whatever you're doing. So please, please, please help us spread the word, spread the message, get more people invested in this vision, and volunteer with us and join Addie's Army. It's so much fun. And we have Zoom meetings every Tuesday night that are really fun. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, all right. Did that. Okay, if you have sent in your mail-in ballot already, go ahead and check online on the Secretary of State's website to make sure that it was accepted. If not, find out why not, and find out if you need to go vote in person, either Monday or Tuesday. Okay, so we had a question last week about local government. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not going to make any public endorsements at this time, just because I have not been formally asked to make a public endorsement, and I haven't okayed it with the person that I would endorse yet if I were to. That being said, if you need to talk through any candidate, any race, and you want to talk through it with me, give me a call, give me a text, email me. And we can talk through it. I'm more than happy. I've got a lot of opinions, as all of you know, so I'm happy to share those. And I'm very fortunate to have some pre-existing relationships with local government officials that I'm happy to share with you. So, okay, so I do want to start out with our mission statement from Carver County local government, or county government here. So the Carver County vision, where the future embraces the past and keeping Carver County a great place to live, work, and play for a lifetime, which is very similar to a line in my speeches, and I had no idea, so that's exciting. So Carver County mission, to meet the service requirements and special needs of our residents in a fiscally responsible and caring way. We will plan the county's growth to preserve its uniqueness and will encourage rural and urban compatibility. We will protect our history while planning for a dynamic future. All right. Let's see. Is there a Facebook event for voting on Tuesday that I can forward to friends? Tim, great idea. Sure, I'll make one. I'll do it today. That's a great idea. Sorry, I'm going to write that down so I don't forget here. Okay. FB event for voting. Certain people running for local county government make me mad. Oh, I know. Preaching to the choir here. There's a lot of different ways to run campaigns, and I'll comment on that in a little bit. But so first, kind of the breakdown of how local governments work. There's commissioners that kind of decide how the county is run, and then there's cities and townships that are separate. So, for example, Watertown has a Watertown Township, where I live, has a board, and then Watertown, the city of Watertown, also has they city council and mayor and all that. There's also school districts. Technically, in Carver County, we have 7 school districts. That does include Glencoe, Silver Lake, and Belle Plaine. There's 4. What's the third one I'm missing? There's 4 major ones that are in District 47. So the 4 that I particularly specifically speak with it's about 4. And kids can go to private schools or go to Minnetonka. A lot of kids, parents send their kids to Minnetonka and that kind of thing. So we have kind of 4 major ones here, but 7 in the county total. There's also soil and water districts, and there's 5 representatives on the Carver County Soil and Water Board, and they all represent kind of different districts. It's very similar to how the commissioner districts are set up. I don't think quite exactly, but all right, I was going to screen share with you guys, and I'm not on Zoom, so I can't do that. Basically, on the Carver County website, you can find this map of how the Carver County government is laid out, and it's split into different divisions. Each division has like a head of the department, and then within that, there's several other things. So you might have human services, for example. I think I wrote this down. Human services has like the career force. There's a mental health. I think First Street is what it's called, the mental health services, public health services. They all kind of have the same goal, so they're under that same division, right? And then you'd have the county attorney and the corrections and the sheriff all under like public safety. Finance is one. Elections is under finance, kind of in the same office, not exactly the same department, that kind of thing. So commissioners, there's 5 of them in our county, and they each have a district of about 20,000 residents. All right. One is retiring this year. Commissioner Ishii is retiring. He has most of Carver, I think, and Waconia. And then there's, a couple up for re-election this year as well. So the commissioner, so basically the state gives the county money, or the federal government gives the county money in certain circumstances. And then it's up to the commissioners and everyone underneath them or with them to decide how that money is spent. So I heard a really great, a good friend of mine had a good analogy that the state is like the quarterbacks, and then all of the rest of the players are like the trenchmen. That's the county, right? So cost sharing can shift to counties when it's an unfunded mandate from the state, which it's been drilled in my head. Do not ever pass a bill that's an unfunded mandate. You're shifting the cost of the counties, and they can't always make up for that, and that's just horrible. So that's in my head. No passing unfunded mandates. That's awful. Okay, so there's also there's 2 organizations that really help counties kind of figure out how to run. And they give guidance to different county governments all over the nation, right? So one is the Association of Minnesota Counties. They, kind of provide guidance on maybe there's a shift in property tax law, and how do we implement that? AMC will be able to provide guidance on that. And there is, what is that one called? National Association of Counties, NACO. It's a federal organization that helps. And there's a couple commissioners, Maluchnik is one that's really, I think Ishii went there too, go to DC and they meet up with different delegations. So they're like the Minnesota delegation. They meet up with the Minnesota delegation. They go to all these different congressmen and women's offices, and they lobby for things. The most recent thing that they were lobbying for was funding to complete our 212 construction, which is such a pain and really expensive. So I'm so grateful that they were able to go and secure a little bit of funding, federal funding for that. NACO is kind of who organizes that. Now, NACO also will help with some funding things. So there's like pretrial inmates, for example, lose their funding or their ability to access Medicaid, I believe. And so, the counties are having to pick up the tab to keep people who are being held on pretrial basis healthy and sane and, ready, able to stand for trial. And NACO can kind of help secure some of that funding from the federal level. The state should be picking up the tab on that, in my opinion. yet another unfunded mandate kind of thing. So there's some adjustment that needs to be done there. But commissioners are allowed to and encouraged to go and lobby state, legislators and federal legislators, and that's so they're kind of doing two big things, right? They're figuring out how to operate on the county level, making sure that the county government runs smoothly. They're coordinating with, city and township governments and soil and water board, all that stuff. They're also trying to get funding from the state and federal government. So that's a big, tall order for a commissioner. It is a very serious job. And I'm very grateful that there's so many people that want to run for that and want to make improvements upon what we've already got. I'll comment on that later. All right. Okay, so commissioners also hold positions on various committees and boards, and so they meet about 3 to 4 times a month. They vote on all kinds of different stuff, right? Everything from finances to staffing to ensuring, healthcare access, or all kinds of stuff. These are nonpartisan offices, so generally, when you interact with someone who works for the county government or city government, you don't know, or you shouldn't be able to tell their political leaning, because these are nonpartisan offices and very close-knit quarters, so they all have to kind of get along. So that's why when you see people running for sheriff or commissioner, you don't see, Democratically endorsed or Republican endorsed, or you might get certain endorsements from different groups, but not necessarily from a party. And that's on purpose. I almost kind of wish our state government ran the same, but that hasn't happened for quite a while. So our commissioners have also come out with, in conjunction with the rest of the division leaders, legislative priorities. So these are priorities that they have issues with some type of law that needs to be adjusted or changed, or some type of funding that they want to get, something like that. So they come out with that, I believe, every year. And then they come to the Capitol and they lobby, which is awesome. So you'll see, as a legislative assistant, it's a little bit difficult to, talk to your person who might represent Ramsey County and say, okay, Coochin County people are here and they want to lobby you. Do you want to meet with them? So it helps to have those pre-existing relationships with folks, like, hey, this is my friend from Carver County who wants to meet with you. That helps a little bit too. Those are always really fun days. So I like seeing our commissioners and, in St. Paul. All right. So for our legislative priorities this year, for Carver County, the first one, this is going to resonate with a lot of you guys, right? Top priorities are to provide funding for safety improvements on Highway 212. We know how dangerous and congested and just awful 212 has been pretty much my entire life that I've lived here. It's, even just driving, I just went and looked at a house in Norwood Young America this morning, and the 212 is just not great. So it's specifically, we've had, I think, 4 or 5 fatalities in the last couple of years on 212. So there's some significant safety improvements that need to happen, and we just don't have the money for it at the county level. So we need state and federal funding for that. That's been an ongoing project that I know a lot of our commissioners have worked really hard on. I appreciate that, but there's a lot more that need to be done. That funding could come from MnDOT. It could come from a bonding project, which it's not this year because that didn't happen, of course. It could come from federal government or directly like a state appropriation, which you don't see a ton of, but it's a possibility. So second one, revise the eminent domain appraisal process for property owners. I think as we are going to have highways expand, there's an appraisal process. This is going to get really policy wonky for a minute, but there's an appraisal process with eminent domain that is really short and quick, and property owners don't always have the proper amount of time to come back with any kind of appeal. So they want to change that. Lake Waconia Regional Park Development. If any of you have been over there, there's some improvements that could happen. And I know they've worked really hard on it for a while, and, funding that piece to really kick it up a notch would be great. Capital improvement funding for regional parks, same thing. We've got some really amazing parks here, and if we are not maintaining those and protecting those, we're going to lose them. especially with the climate crisis the way it is. So capital improvements is referring to a bonding bill project. All right, county cost shifts for state mandated healthcare and social services. Again, that was kind of an unfunded mandate that came down to if someone's mental health care expired or they weren't eligible anymore and they were in some type of state hold, they run a risk of being released from that too early because the county can't pick up that tab for them. And the federal government was to a certain extent as well, but there's some pretty big discrepancies and some really dangerous outcomes that come from that. So shifting, what the Carver County government wants to do is shift that burden back to the state, and I agree with that. Sunset the county cost share of min choices no later than 2021. Also very policy wonky. If you were interested in that, I'm happy to talk through it. Sensible maintenance of effort policy, same thing. Funding to create healthy communities. Federal health benefits for pretrial inmates, we've talked about that, and then metropolitan governance reform. Also very kind of policy wonky and fun. But we won't talk about that today. I won't bore you guys with that. All right. Great questions in here. Sweet. Okay. So how closely do district representatives and senators work with commissioners? Great question. It kind of varies. So I work for a representative who represents Shakopee in Scott County and one who represents part of Anoka County and part of Ramsey County. They are on very different meeting basis, but they do have consistent meetings with those folks. And I was taught to always prioritize those meetings when they come in. If we have someone from, any type of city or township or anything like that, we prioritize those meetings as well. That's exactly what I would do. Same thing. I want to be the people on the ground, the commissioners, and when it comes to education, right? Our school districts, our school boards, our superintendents, those are the people who know what needs to happen. So when I say things like local control, that means trusting your local governments to know what's going on and make the right decision based on that. So high level decisions can be really great to protect large groups of people or, the entire citizenship of Minnesota. But when it comes to smaller things like that, we really need to rely on that local control in the people that know the best. Those are the commissioners, superintendents, school board, all those folks, city council people, those kind of things. So the way that I will run my office is to always prioritize those meetings and be in constant communication all the time. I'm not going to know, I don't live in, Dahlgren Township, for example. So I'm not going to know what's going on in Dahlgren Township to the detail that the person who represents Dahlgren Township will know. So yeah, constant contact, very, very close. And I will comment a little bit further on that in a second. Legalize marijuana and sports betting will be huge injections of funds for the state. Eric, yes, I've been saying that. Yes, you are so right. So you always hear this, kind of pushback on taxes. We don't want taxes. We don't want to raise taxes, right? But you get what you pay for. So if we're having to fund these things, especially now, trying to come out of a pandemic and make sure that our small business community is healthy and our, healthcare is accessible and healthy and our systems aren't overwhelmed, we're going to have to make some really tough decisions. And if we're legalizing marijuana and we're opening up sports betting, that's a creation of entirely new streams of revenue for the state. I see no downside in that. I mean, that's good. Don't get me started. I'll rant on that for an hour. But yes, you are exactly right. And that's something that I will definitely fight for. Very unfortunate about the bonding legislation this year. I agree, Taylor. It's just, oh man, it's just the most aggravating thing to just watch, people that agree generally on most things, get bogged down in essentially election speeches and kind of just icky politics that really stalls progress. So I wish I was a little bit more hopeful for this special session, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I hope I am. Monday is only at the Carver County Administration Center. That's true unless you're a Waconia resident. If you're a resident of Waconia, you can go to Waconia City Hall. Comments on county. Yes, I will still got a few more too. Okay. Ooh, we got 20 minutes. All right. So the last thing I'll blanket say about the commissioner race, and this kind of applies to any race at all, priorities in what you're looking for a commissioner. So one, you want the person to know the problems, especially at the county commissioner level, right? So like a state legislator, so the positions that I'm running for, and that Dan Kessler and Arlen Brinkmeyer are running for on the House side, we need to know at the state level what we can do as a state senator and state representative and what needs to be done. So if you're hearing people that are running for state office talking about things like immigration, they don't know the issue, right? State senators, state representatives can't do anything about immigration. So why are we talking about it? It's just to like get people excited and like get people jazzed up and fired up for no reason. So if you're talking to a local, someone running for city council or someone running for commissioner, you want them to know the issues that they actually have control over and how they would fix them, right? So especially when it's bipartisan, you're not supposed to know their political leanings. You might be able to gauge it based on their solution ideas, but they really need to know down to that very local, detailed level what they're talking about and what a county commissioner or a city councilman or a mayor or whatever can do about it. And have clear ideas on how to fix it. Vision statements are great. When you're a policy wonk like me, you get more away from vision statements and more into like policy stuff, but you need to have a good balance of both. The person needs to have the relationships that are needed to make the changes happen that they want, or maintain the things that they want. So hand in hand with that is demonstrate the ability to build those relationships, maintain those relationships, and work with people that they don't necessarily agree with. So I personally will never vote for someone who just says that they want to go in and fight, and that's it. And we're gonna, I'm not gonna waver on I'm unwavering. I'm not gonna waver on anything. You can have morals and values and integrity and still be willing to work with people from the other side of the aisle or from a different department. I don't want someone who's an antagonist, right? I want progress. And that's not going to happen with someone who's really antagonistic and who doesn't have a clear vision for what they want and how they're going to get there. So someone who has those relationships already established, great option, especially when it comes to things like lobbying for money from the state legislature or federal legislature. Someone who already has like an in, that's helpful, and then I would like someone to demonstrate that they like how they're going to deal with things. So if there's a tough question that they don't want to answer, they're not just dodging the answer. They're saying things that, help you figure out their answer to the question and help you see how they might deal with the problem in the future. So not getting defensive, not, calling someone out or doxing them or like yelling at them in public, God forbid, not a myriad of things. You know what you're looking for, right? It's the same things you would teach your kids how to deal with problems. You deal with grace and, calm, logic, that kind of thing. Okay. One thing I will say about county commissioners and local government officials, any local government officials, they have to deal with a lot of really tough decisions when it comes to our tax dollars, right? So property taxes are collected, as we all know, and they go towards things like snow plows and, school funding is the big one that I'm thinking of. So someone who knows how to make our tax dollars go a little bit further when they're not getting the same funding from the state and the federal government that we would like them to have. That's always really effective. And nice to see, that someone's caring for tax dollars. I liken it to the same way that people care for donations, campaign donations. I'm super protective of my donors' dollars because I know where they're coming from. They're small dollar donations. People for a state race, you can only give $1,000. You cannot give any more. We're not like, funded by all like Bloomberg and all these crazy, $500,000 organizations. We're funded $1,000 at a time or less. So someone who's demonstrating that they're really smart with their donors' dollars, they're not, doing all kinds of crazy ads and videos and TV, whatever. If they're really strategic in how they spend that indicates to me that they're going to be strategic in how they spend their tax dollars as well. So it's just kind of an insider baseball kind of thing to pay attention to, but that is nice to look at too. So just to be aware of. The last thing I want any elected official to do is to be able to listen. So I come on here. It's so weird. I come on here and talk for an hour and tell you everyone that they should listen. But folks that just want to talk and tell you all the things and we know all the answers to everything and here's how we're going to fix it, they may not be as willing to incorporate constituent ideas, for example. So you guys have all heard me frequently talk about bringing people to the table, bringing the experts to the table. That is the same in any, business, school, any kind of government, anything, really anything. Bringing the experts to the table, making sure that people have a seat at the table, and making sure that the people who are most affected by the decisions that you are going to make are at the decision making table with you. That is vitally, vitally important. So if someone has a plan for how they're going to implement that, they're going to hold town halls, they're going to have email surveys, whatever it might be, as long as you know that they're going to take your opinion into consideration. That's really meaningful. We get a lot of kind of politicians that listen to their caucus or listen to a specific lobby or whatever, a specific group of people, and not who they're really representing. And that needs to change. That needs to change at every single level, from president, federal, all the way down to local township board. So if someone demonstrates an ability to listen, that's awesome. That's so awesome. All right. Cool. Any other questions before we kind of close down here? I know we're a little bit early. No question is too dumb. And ask me anything. Ask me about how terrible this chai tea is that I made. Wow. All right. Well, I'm gearing up towards the Tuesday primary. So please, please, please make sure you have a vote plan. Make sure your friends and family have a vote plan. Make sure that 18-year-old kid down the street who just registered to vote has a vote plan. You can drive people to the polls. You can make sure that they know where to go, that kind of thing. Like I said earlier, if anyone wants to talk through any candidates, whether it's my campaign or not, please give me a call. I'm more than willing to tell you what I know. Volunteering, again, I will make this last plug here. It's the way we reach people. This can be the greatest campaign in the world, and I can say all the right things, but if not enough people hear them, it's not going to matter. So money and volunteers equals reach. That's how we get this message out. So please share this video with your friends and family, send emails, send texts, whatever you can do, but also volunteering with us is really fun and really effective. Thank you, Leah. I appreciate that. I really do. I am looking forward to it in the primary. Actually, I'm, having gone through the endorsement process and getting the DFL endorsement, was very eye-opening, I'll say. There's a lot of different ways to be a Democrat, and not everyone follows the same rules. So I got to see a lot of that in the endorsement process. Yes, Lucy, I will comment on that. So then to get the DFL endorsement and then have someone come in that didn't go through that process and wasn't really familiar with what this job entails was really disheartening. So it's been awesome to see, people step up and ask questions. I've had phone calls and emails and texts and all kinds of stuff asking really good, intelligent questions that really get to the core of the issue that person cares about. So it's been great. It's been great to organize a little earlier around, get out the vote stuff than we would have, for the general election. Okay, Tim. Oh, thank you, Tim. I really appreciate that. I cannot tell you. I am so protective of our donor dollars, so it will be put to very good use, I promise, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, Lucy asked a really great question. Can someone explain who needs to vote for Carver County Commissioners this year? Not everyone. Right. That is correct. So there are some districts. We have 5 districts in the county. Some are not up for re-election. The really contested one, I believe, is 4. I don't know the district off the top of my head, but it's Commissioner Maluchnik, who is the incumbent, and he does have a challenger. And then Jim Ishey's retiring, so he has there's a couple people running to replace him too. And I believe that's more in the Carver-Waconia area. I can get back to you on specifics on that. But if you are wondering what's on the ballot, you can find out on the Carver County Elections page or the Secretary of State page as well. You can actually type on the Secretary of State, mnvotes.org, you can type in your address and see what your ballot will look like before you even get there, which is awesome. So you can do your research ahead of time. Gail Degler is in District 1. He's not running this year, right? That's a good question. I don't think he's up for re-election. I think he's... Ooh, that's a good question. 5. Yeah, I'm not sure. You guys, I'm so sorry. I could get back to you on that for sure. I just know the super contestant one. There you go. Unopposed. Perfect. Okay. Talked about voting. Talked about volunteering. Please, please, please don't forget. Don't forget to go vote. Don't forget to drop your ballot off in person or go vote in person on Monday or Tuesday. Next week, I hope to have a few more school opening updates for you guys. I'm in the middle of scheduling some meetings with school board members, superintendents, that kind of thing. So I'll hope to have some more updates for you then. Same for capital stuff with the special session coming up. I'm not sure exactly what the layout is. I know like what I'm personally involved in, which is not much at the moment. Higher ed is very quiet on the special session front for now. So we'll see. I'll have some more updates next week. And again, we're open to topics. If there's something that we haven't talked about that you really want to know about or really want to even just hear my opinion about, I love doing the research for these every week. So give me more things to research, whatever it might be. Whether it's a huge, big topic or a little small topic, that's fine. Any questions are welcome. So please send those our way. You can email, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. All right. Any other questions before I let you guys go 5 minutes early? Sorry about our technical difficulties too. That's a bummer. I'll have to splice these 2 videos together on YouTube later, but great. Cool. Well, I hope everyone is going to go out and enjoy the rest of the beautiful day after the rain has passed us. And don't forget to go vote. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you next week.